Welcome to SDH's coverage of everything going on in the NPSL. One more week to go in the regular season, and we'll get you to it. We'll line it all up for you, and we'll give you some math, but we'll also direct you where you can find all of the math that's involved in the NPSL Southeast, because it might come down to it, and we will let you know what's going on and where you can find it when it comes to the end of the regular season, postseason, which is going to come fast and furious. After this weekend, it'll end up being Wednesday for round number 1, and then the weekend for round number 2, a week from tomorrow as you're listening. So a week from Saturday would be round 2. Middle of the week is round number 1, and getting the Final Four in the NPSL Southeast down to 2, and down to someone who gets into the regionals when it comes to the postseason. All right, no dilly, no dally zone, so let's get you into what happened over the last 7 days and get you ready for the next 7 days on the schedule. Remember, we had some activity on Wednesday, June 26th, and that was App over Port City as a part of their 3 games in 8 days. And then at Clinton High School and Dragon Stadium, 865 Alliance knocked up Bristol Rhythm by the final of 1-0. Last Saturday, you had 4 matches to get everybody back online. Greenville United shut out Port City by the final of 2-0 at UNC Wilmington. Hickory and Bristol Rhythm, that one was a 5-goal thriller at Gene Malcolm, and it was a Hickory with the win by the final of 3-2. At Silverbacks Park, a matchup between Appalachian FC and Apotheos FC, 2-1 to App FC, and a goalless draw between Charlottetown Hops and 865 Alliance. That one was squared away once again at CSA Ortho Carolina. No goals on the board with Hops and 865 Alliance. So that sets up your standings and how things are laid out for the final weekend of the season, and there literally are a couple of different sets here. In order, it is Appalachian FC with no losses on the season. They have right now 23 points, averaging 2.56. Hickory is in second, 6 wins, 19 points. Apotheos, 5 wins, identical record with Charlottetown Hops, but a massive difference in goal difference. So Apotheos at 1.89 is third. Charlottetown at 1.89 is fourth. 865 Alliance is fifth with 14 points, and then you have Greenville United with 6 points, Bristol Rhythm with 1 win on the year, and Port City with 2 draws on the season. So there might be some math. It's 5 teams for 4 spots. App is your champ in the Southern Conference. Hickory, Apotheos, Charlottetown, 865, all separated by 5 points heading into the final week of the regular season in the Southeast. So that's where the math is, and that's what we'll be checking in on as we go. So let's take the tour of the league and let you know what's going on. First stop has to do with what's been going on with Bristol Rhythm this year. And what we wanted to do is let you know about a story that was pieced together by our friends at WCYB-TV up in the Tri-Cities. Cole Johnson telling the tale of a first-year club.
1 city, 2 states, and 1 team. That was the motto when the Bristol Rhythm was introduced to joining the NPSL Semi-Professional Soccer League just last August. Since then, it has been a rhythm that's rang throughout the Tri-Cities community as they prepare to turn the page to year 2 in building the franchise from the ground up. In just 3 days' time, the mark of a new era will close its first chapter. On Saturday, Bristol Rhythm AFC will take the field for the final time in its inaugural season.
It's been great. It's been a great summer. Owners, Matt and Diane, have really put a lot into this and have made a great product.
It's a product that truly broke ground in the franchise's first ever goal and win in the same night on May 18th. Opening the doors to players from college and even high school stars to flourish.
Bristol Rhythm is the first team, first season, first year, and being a part of it is pretty cool. I feel like words just can't really explain.
And while the results in the win column have not fallen in their favor in year 1, massive strides have been made.
Results haven't come our way like we was hoping for, but if you've seen our last few games of the season, the last 3 games, I think the performances have been there. We're too little too late at the moment, but as you can see, it's all coming together.
And to help it all come together, Sharp and company are banking on the return of their local nucleus.
It's just 9 versus 9. They should be in teams already.
From Johnson City's Sam McGee to guys like Dobbins Bennett alums and current Milligan Buffs, Grayson Hammond and Martin Torres.
Ever since the first day, it was a lot easier to kind of acclimate to the team because there were so many boys that I already played with.
It's an awesome experience. I've been a local kid. To be able to be with these boys and week in, week out, do some good practices and stuff, it's all I can ask for.
And it's a local connection that has paid dividends. The Rhythm in year one averaging the second best fan attendance in the league, paving the way to a successful future.
For a team that hasn't won many games this season, the atmosphere and the morale is as high as ever as it was at the start of the season. So that's a testament to the boys, and hopefully they see that.
The fan support getting a ton of credit for the growth and buzz to build upon from.
The fans have really provided this team with more than we expected. I only see us growing from this point on.
Bristol holds a very special place to my heart, and I'm excited to see what the future of this franchise has, because it definitely has outstanding potential, and I think that we'll be able to reach that.
Then that sets us up for a couple of the other franchises that we've been keeping an eye on this season. First stop, Hickory FC, as they get ready for the last week of the regular season, and their head coach, Carlos Rubio, who was doing something interesting at Lenoir-Rhyne when we dialed him up. So I dial you up, and there's something really cool going on there at Lenoir-Rhyne. You've got one of the biggest big screens ever to watch what's going on in the Euros.
Yeah, I know. They put it up, and we're all the staff here at Lenoir-Rhyne. We're in one of those suites watching the game right now. So no, incredible. Soccer doesn't stop.
That's pretty funny. Let me. So I don't want to take you away from it, since we're talking, like we're getting toward halftime. So I think we might be in a safe spot.
Yeah, we're good.
So let's talk about what happened last week. You go to Bristol, and it turned out to be a shootout against a first-year team.
Yeah, no, it was a fun game for the fans. Not so much for the coaches, I don't think, but no, they play a really tough match. They did really well. They never turned their head away from the game. We knew they weren't going to give up, even though the season was going to end that day. They were playing at home in front of the fans, a really good crowd, fun, engaging. We went ahead 1-0, and then they scored and built on a little bit of momentum, and we kind of struggled to get back into the swing of things. And then they found a goal in the second half, and that turned our passion on, I guess. And the boys did fantastic, never giving up. I think it's the fourth game that we score on extra time, on other time. So a testament to the character, a testament to our boys never turning their head away from the game and always fighting to the last whistle. So proud of them for that.
And now you're in the last week of the regular season. It's chaos.
Yeah.
Who is doing the math for you up there at Hickory?
Now we know that the only mathematical equation that is important is that we win, we finish second. So that's the only one we're thinking about. That's the only one we're kind of making mathematical equations. 3 points, that means that we finish second and we're at home. Everything else, then we start depending on other people. So that's the only way we're looking at this weekend.
So then what does 865 bring to the table? You've got to go there for another road game, but what's Study Hall been like getting ready for 865?
They're a good team. We know some of their players. They played some schools around the area, Castle Newman, Tennessee. So we know a couple of the players from playing against them or watching them. So a really good team, really good individuals, really good striker force. Both forwards are really good, good goalkeeper. So they're a good team. I know it's the last game of the season at home for them. They still, mathematically, I think they can still get in. So they're going to approach that game as a final, and so are we. So this will be another really good road game for us.
And then the aforementioned Bristol Rhythm. Time is always to catch up with our friend Diane Smith, owner and GM, and find out what's going on as they get ready for the last road trip of the year. So how was the home regular season finale? I mean, from all indications, it was real back and forth, and it was a nail-biter on a bunch of different fronts.
Oh, it sure was. I mean, we definitely held the lead for 90 minutes, but the final whistle is the one that counts, and we did give up 2 goals in stoppage time. But we actually got some points on the board, so that was very exciting for our big home crowd, and gosh, the fan support. I just don't think I can say enough about it, because we lose a fair amount of games. That's being polite in saying so. But our fans, they show up and they cheer and they support, and it was the latest I think I've ever left the field, because they stayed around trying to get autographs from the players, and we're just so thrilled to have this team in our community. And that's what we want. So, results on the field will come as we continue to grow and develop our players, and it will be okay. And we do have one more opportunity this weekend on the road, so we'll see if we can get a W one more time this season.
Yeah, before this interview and the show this week, we played the feature that ran on WCYB TV, where they came out to practice and they caught up with a bunch of different folks. When you get to have these kinds of presentations out in the community, obviously there's nothing better to represent what you're building there than a game day. It's been for me on the outside looking in, it's been a real education in talking to you every week about what you're learning about being a first-year team and what the guys are learning about being billeted in homes and all of these different kinds of things. I mean, it seems like you could probably write a good book or have a good documentary about everything that goes on into building a team from scratch.
I mean, we do say that, and I'm literally wearing my Wrexham shirt. So if anybody wants to do a documentary on us, I'm an open book. Like, you just come find me. But no, I think something like that would be really incredible, because when we were going, really starting the journey of creating this team, while the other teams in the league are so supportive and very helpful at answering questions, there's just some questions that you don't really necessarily want to pose to a competitor. So if there was more access to information, like just the random little things we've learned that have allowed us to have really good successes, I think that could be really cool. The difference is, I think probably one of the reasons the league doesn't do that is the blueprint is so different depending on the needs of your community. So, the league does have great resources for us, but, you really have to tailor it to what's going to work best in your community. And man, our community just wants a team. And the team doesn't even have to win for their support. And our international players are like, Diane, it's so weird. They clap for us when we lose. I'm like, they just support you guys, and it's amazing. Like, don't you want to try harder? And our last few games have been a lot better. Our performance on the field has been a lot better. So I think the challenge that we have is where it's such a short season and most of our players have never, ever played together. Finding that the team dynamic and how everybody can mesh. I mean, our first match, they didn't even all know each other's names yet. That's a challenge on the field. So I think future seasons, those kind of things are only going to get better, because now we know what those hurdles are. And if we can return some of the same players, we won't have those hurdles to the same extent that we did this season.
Last match on the board, you're heading to Greenville to take on Greenville United. Are you going to Greenville?
Absolutely. I don't miss a match. Like, that's super important to me. I would not miss our final match. It's a long trip. I'm not looking forward to that tomorrow. But someone's got to, make sandwiches on the bus and take care of the team and just continue to show them our support and the opportunity to see an away goal and maybe see an away win. I'm definitely not going to miss that. So me, my husband, and my oldest child pack up. We leave the smallest one at home. It's a bit too long for her, but we will absolutely be there with bells on.
And last and certainly not least, right now they're at the top of the table. Time to catch up with our friends at Appalachian FC and their head coach, Dale Parker. Last weekend, it pretty much lived up to billing, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Two teams fighting for first place. A good battle. It kind of ebbed and flowed a little bit. We had a good period in the first half. Thought they had a decent period in the second half. But then as the half went on, I thought, the changes that we made definitely impacted the game really well. And it was a substitute that ended up scoring the winner for us. So, we dug deep into our bench, and that, I think, ultimately on the day, that was what got us over the line.
And who's responsible for doing math right now for you on your staff?
For doing math?
Yeah. Conference standings and who could be and what could be and who you could be facing.
Well, I wish the referees could do math last week, not letting us make any more than 4 substitutions. So if that referee's listening, I'd like to tell him. I tried to tell you the rules, and he obviously didn't like it on the day. So yeah, we're allowed to make all 7 subs in NPSL. For all the referees listening, we're allowed to make all 7 subs regardless of moments. So I know my math is correct, but in terms of the league table, we're not really worried about who's going to finish second, third, fourth. We're just concerning ourselves with ourselves. We know we're hosting. If we focus too much on that, we start to lose sight of what we're trying to do. And tomorrow's an important game for us, for multiple reasons. Although it doesn't really affect the league table for us. It might affect national rankings later on if we were to get that far. So just focusing on ourselves and let the 3 remaining teams that are in it, let them battle it out.
So then, okay, I'll bite. How important is tomorrow against Hops at Ted Mack?
It's very important. It's very important. I think, well, the first one, you want to win any game that you play. For us, it's a home game. We need to make sure the fans stay behind us. There's a kind of secondary competition that 3 of our clubs in the league are in, the Moonshine Cup. So that's also on the line tomorrow. But if we're fortunate enough to get out of the conference and head into the national tournament, tomorrow's result will affect the national rankings. Currently we're sitting in 5th in the country. We want to make sure we maintain that or go even higher. So a result tomorrow will go a long way in affecting that. So we are looking slightly ahead, I know, but if we're, like I said, if we're fortunate enough to make the national tournament, being that high in the national rankings can give you a home game, and we know how important that can be.
So you're looking ahead, but you're not looking ahead. Let me get this right.
Yeah, it's kind of I've said to the boys, it's almost a free hit tomorrow. We can go and have a good go against Charlottetown, knowing that a positive result will help us in those rankings. But if not, it doesn't affect the conference tournament. It's not like we're not taking our eyes off of that. We're already in it. We're already hosting a semi-final, so we've already done that piece. We've got the luxury now of being able to look ahead a little bit.
Before we get out of all of our tours of all of the franchises online, Jonathan Mercado, head coach of Apotheos FC, dropped by the morning show on Friday and let us know what's going on with the matchup that happened from his perspective against Appalachian FC, what they've learned this season, and what he's learned about himself. It was Jarrett Smith and myself with the interview with the head coach. It is 10:30, and it is the last weekend of the regular season, if my math is correct, in the NPSL, and the sprint that it is. And time to bring in one of our regular 10:30 guests on Friday. Jonathan Mercado, the head coach of Apotheos FC, dropping by. Coach, it's Jarrett and it's John. Happy Friday.
Happy Friday, guys, and happy 4th of July. I hope everybody had a great 4th yesterday. Good to hear you guys again.
All right, Jarrett, you're batting leadoff with it. Go for it.
Hey, Coach, last game of the regular season. I know. So I did the math on the table. It's actually really dumb how chaotic this could be. I'll explain it to everybody else later. But because it's been like really the top 4 or 5 of y'all have just beaten each other up the entire season. How are y'all feeling going into this last week physically after what's been a really physical, exhausting season?
Yes, it has been. It's been a season of learning, of growth. All of my boys we've talked about is just responding and bouncing back. The loss against Appalachian did hit us hard. I could feel it in the at practices. Even after the game, I could just feel that. No one was upset. It was more anger, and but not hey, I'm gonna go crazy now. It's more no, we have a job to do now, and that's to get 3 points in this last game at home, and then prepare for playoffs.
You knew what you were getting into with this matchup against App FC, and I think by all indications, it didn't disappoint when it came to what the expectation was for both of the teams against one another, for the fans that were there, for the fans that were watching. Now that you've had a couple days, you mentioned the idea of channeling what you've learned. So it's like basically, I'm going to phrase it correctly. It's like you want to remember what happened, but you don't want to have you dwell on what happened. How difficult a balance is something like that with a matchup that meant so much this late in the year?
It's tough, especially someone that's passionate. I consider myself a very passionate player, coach. It did take me a while to, kind of just really soak it all in and understand that, hey, we had a good run. Appalachian stood up excellent against us. We tried things. We threw numbers up. We went down in the game. We responded with the goal, but the game got very, very, very even for a long time in the game, and then it came down to just moments of truth, and they just one up. They one upped us, and we fought hard to get that second goal, but it did not come. But like I said, I know my boys. We've been working hard this week. We are channeling all of this. How can I say? Not anger, just I guess we're driven. We're a little more driven than usual to really get these 3 points and get a good spot on the table going into playoffs.
Coach, I want to ask you about the app game in particular, and games like it, where like it gets in the second half and it kind of turns into a pitch battle where it's back and forth. How tough is it for y'all or for you to kind of convey guys that we're not going to be able to control the game for 90 minutes, and how to handle those moments maturely and safely when you aren't in control of the game so that you don't let it slip?
Yeah, it's a tough one. People really do underestimate the challenge that is managing a game for 90 minutes. You know, I demand a lot from my players. We have a great mix of experience and youth. I really tell everybody, to clock in their shift and put in everything that they can, experience, intelligence, playing with maturity. That's why we have fresh subs. And the guys that have been coming into the second half have really impressed me. I'm very proud of them because they've been nothing but team players all season, and they've came in every single time and brought some life into the game, and it's not the guys that have been starting, it's not that they haven't given us anything. It's just tired legs, especially in a game like Appalachian. I could see the tired legs were everywhere. And, it's good to have a lot of, it's good to have youth coming into the game, especially late in the game. And like I said, we're going to, try things this last game of the season. 3 points is all that matters to us. But, this is a time right now where certain players have not gone unnoticed, and I believe it's time for me to give them their chance to prove to us, to the community, that they do, they are an asset to our team. But all in all, my boys, we're ready to go 90 minutes hard against Port City and be ready for playoffs.
7:00 kick at Silverbacks Park. Port City visiting Apotheos last week of the regular season before you get into the NPSL playoffs here, and everybody's a 7:00 start. All 8 teams. 4 matchups, all 7:00 starts. One of the other big ones is App hosting Charlottetown Hops at Ted Mackerel and Boone. Keeping an eye on that one as well. And 8:65 with Hickory FC out at Hardin Valley. Coach, you mentioned getting players reps in this matchup against Port City, folks that have deserved it. Has there been anyone or a group of anyones that have pleasantly surprised you this season from first impression to now? Has there been anybody that has been a real surprise for you and a pleasant surprise for Apotheos this year?
Yes, we have a couple guys. Alex Guzman, he's came in, helped us out up top. Very stocky player, smart player as well. Excellent footwork. We have guys like Andrew Chica who have came in and brought us life into the midfield. When the tired legs start taking over, he plays our style. He loves checking to the ball, tiki taka, moving the ball, rotating the ball. And there's a bunch of other guys that came in, but I'm very proud and impressed with, those are only 2 guys, but just overall with everybody that has represented our team from minute 1 to minute 90. No one has ever, they understand that the bigger picture is the team. So whether they play 90, whether they play 10 minutes, it's all for the team. And I couldn't be more grateful and thankful to have these, to be coach for these guys.
Jared, go for
it. Coach, I actually want to ask you about a moment I saw last game. Abato Sanchez has been really dangerous in the attack, but also had to do a lot defensively the last few games. Halfway through that app game, I saw you pull him aside at halftime, having a conversation with him, like not an angry one, but like a spirited conversation. Mm-hmm. And and then him, being a little more aggressive in the second half, winning those first balls, going after those second balls. How hard is that in that moment where you got young guys to kind of at halftime have them make changes, flip that switch, and be able to just keep going and fight through that exhaustion?
Yeah, it's moments of trust. That's why I work diligently and work endlessly to earn that trust and respect from these boys week in and week out. I remember being that age, and when you're in the game, you're fired up, you're emotional, you try to channel everything into the game, and every now and then, if coach is instructing something, you got to kind of nod your head and go, got it, and adapt and adjust. And that moment was just something that I was just seeing from Alvaro. He's one of our best defenders. His 1v1 defending, along with his way of playing out of the back, is what sparks life in me. It's what I love about him. And it was one of those moments where I guess I was demanding a little bit more from him, because he was playing a little bit more long long field than usual, and it was nothing more than just a, hey, relax, calm down. You have more time on the ball than you think. We trust you with the ball. Move the ball for us like you always do. And and it wasn't like a threat, like, oh, if you don't do that, then no. It's more of, I do my best to try to inspire, impact, and influence these guys to the best of my ability. And then I try to how do I say, plant the seed, paint the picture for them to see, and then I kind of leave it in their hands to respond. And all in all, man, I trust my boys. I trust all of them.
How much have you learned about yourself as a head coach this year? Because, Jarrett and myself and Maddie and Jason, we all have got the chance to see you at the beginning of the season. What have you learned about yourself in this run as head coach at Apotheos this year?
Something that I've learned is I was a very emotional, passionate player growing up. I think I still am. I've just matured over time. I understand. I know how to win and I know how to lose. If there's something that's maybe unique about me, is the way that I want us to win. People are, the past couple weeks we've gotten these 3 points, and it's been great. Like, we went on a good run, but I've also haven't been satisfied. I haven't been content with the way we've been playing. We've gotten the points, but I've told my boys week in and week out that there is a way to win, and I'm very picky when it comes to that. And if we're gonna lose, it better be, us getting, absolutely ran out of the park. We're not gonna settle for just random teams to come in and just, you know, dictate how we're gonna play. And I really have challenged these guys in this last game going into playoffs for us to dictate the tempo of the game, not the other way around. So if there's something that I've learned about myself, is about this season, and to challenge myself moving forward, is to keep working on just managing not only my emotions on the sideline, but knowing how to manage the emotions of my boys, my team, and knowing how to, you know, see what's in front of me, and then not make sporadic decisions or make decisions out of just emotion. That's why I have my coaching staff. I wouldn't have been able to do any of this without them. It helps so much to have their eyes there, their perspective helps me like crazy. But I've learned so much, and if it comes down to it, it's just, if there's a word to say to describe what I've learned this year, is just a perspective of the game. Perspective. It's one thing to be on the sideline; it's something totally different to be on the field. And it's my job to keep everybody together, all bought in for the bigger picture, which is the team.
Coach, I guess my last one for you would be, I actually wanted to ask about, for the last game, you talked about guys who have been coming along as the season goes along. We had talked about Koda Tanaka. We had talked about Aaron Witten and the hard work he does up top. But last week, Keegan Gantley just decided to take that game over for a bit. I wanted to ask about his growth this season and his progress. And I know your outside backs basically take up residence in the attacking half most of the time anyway. But I'll ask about his overall game and his growth this season.
Oh, Kane has been absolutely amazing. He is one of the most versatile players I've met. Putting him on the right side, putting him on the left side. Every now and then he gets a chance to go up top, and then he goes and scores a goal. Shows how dynamic and how switched on, Kane is as a player. I love the fact that he has a touch style of play, but he knows how to put in a tackle, and he also knows when he needs to go long or send it into the channel. I've been so proud of him. Our culture, we come from two different cultures. So I think at the beginning of the season, it was kind of tough to get everybody bought in. I'm South American, getting guys from Europe. It could take time, but I think, like I was telling you, week in and week out, I've worked endlessly along with my coaching staff to really earn the respect of these players. And, I think we've gotten to a really nice position now where we all trust each other. No one is back talking. No one is, but what about, but, it's one of those things at this point in the season, the players have to trust the coach's decisions. And they may agree, they may not, they may disagree, they may agree. At the end of the day, they have to trust the decisions that I make, my coaching staff makes. And I'm telling you, that will go a long way. Even when the games get chippy, you know what I mean? We got to have trust. There's got to be trust all over the field. And if there's, I'm just very proud of Kane and all the other boys that, have shown trust in me when it comes to these games.
Jonathan Mercado, head coach at Apotheos FC, getting ready for the last match of the regular season. It is a fan appreciation night at Silverbacks Park. Kick against Port City at 7 o'clock on Saturday. Positioning important. We'll have Jarrett do the math here in just a sec. Coach, as always, great to catch up with you at 10:30 on Fridays. Be safe, be well, stay out of the heat, and go get them this weekend against Port City in the NPSL regular season finale. Thanks for dropping by, as you always do.
Thank you for all your support and love, guys. Take care.
All right. That's Coach Mercado. So once again, laying out the scenarios here. Appalachian at 23 points, they are clear of everyone. They are going to finish number one. Hickory's at 19 points. Apotheos is at 17, have a large goal difference advantage over Charlottetown Hops, who is also at 17 points. 865 Alliance is at 14 points. They need a win and some help to get into the playoff picture come the end of Saturday. Your bottom three teams, Greenville United is at 6 points, and they have a one win on the season with another handful of draws. Also, Bristol Rhythm with a win on the season. Port City with 2 draws on the year. So let's get you the schedule. And once again, remind you that if you are anywhere near the matchups here in the last week of the regular season in the NPSL Southeast, please go visit and show your support for your local clubs and for the local game. Appalachian at 7 o'clock. All matches are at 7 o'clock Eastern time, by the way. Appalachian FC hosting Charlottetown Hops. You heard from Dale Parker about the importance of this matchup away from the points that could be picked up by Hops. Apotheos hosting Port City. That one's at 7 o'clock at Silverbacks Park. And if you do go, it is 24% off of all the gear. When you walk in the building and the first handful of fans get an Apotheos koozie as you make your way to Silverbacks Park. Jared Smith will be on the call for those of you not able to make it, and you can follow along thanks to our friends also at ASMG, who have been handling the production of the home matches all year long. Greenville United hosting Bristol Rhythm at John Paul II Catholic, and 865 Alliance at Hardin Valley hosting Hickory FC. Once again, we mentioned 865 needs a win and some help, and that first step would have to come against Hickory FC. So that is your rundown of everything going on in the NPSL Southeast last week of the regular season. And then the midweek is round number 1 of the playoffs. Round number 2 the following weekend. So it'll be busy keeping up with everything going on with the NPSL and the playoffs. That for, once again, everybody here at SDH, if you're in market, go catch the matches. If you're in market and can't, follow along on local providers. If you're out of market and can't, follow along on local providers. And you can also visit us every single week when it comes to our coverage of the NPSL Southeast. So for everybody here at SDH, I'm just John. Thanks for dropping by. That's the NPSL this week. Be sure to know your math because you might need it come Saturday night. Play it safe, everybody. We'll see you next week.